Are we truly in a recession? Are we going into a recession? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that over recorded time, the home values haven't negatively been impacted during a recession, with the exception of the Great Recession, which was caused by the debacle in the housing market. So it's not recession equals home values drop. And as a matter of fact, there is no evidence that home values are going to drop anytime soon. And the reason why is there's pent-up buyer demand. There's so much buyer demand out there that there's no evidence or predictions that home values are going to drop anytime soon. And as a matter of fact, it's likely that this year, in 2024, we may see increases in values and in equity that people have in their homes, because values likely will be driven up once again by buyer demand. As rates go down, buyer demand goes up and prices go up. It's not the opposite. It's simple economics. I don't have a crystal ball. However, I don't know that we're going to see an increase, or I should say, I don't think we're going to see a collapse in the economy. However, if there's a recession, if there is more, if the jobless rates go up and people find themselves in financial straits, the good news is that many people have a lot of equity in their home. That's why we're not seeing a lot of foreclosures and short sales right now. As a matter of fact, very few short sales and home foreclosures, because people do have equity, and with that equity in their homes, they have leverage. So if they find themselves in a position without a job and no hopes for a job in the near future, they can always sell their home so that they have money to live off of and at least unburden themselves with a high mortgage or whatever the case may be. So it's not likely that we're going to see a huge amount of foreclosures and the houses flooding the market because the economy collapses. But if it does, we'll be there to help. We're here to help in good times and in bad. We're always here to help, and we can always help people have options. So if you find yourself in a position where you feel like, it's going to be really hard for me to make my mortgage, let's look at some ways that we might be able to help you. And selling your home, especially if you have a lot of equity, might be one of those ways to help get you out from under that situation. But we'll work with a lender, we'll work with your mortgage company, we'll do whatever we can to help make the best scenario from the situation. So that's where the equity analysis comes in. And what that means is we're just looking at what your home is worth today if you were to sell it and how much you owe. So how much equity do you have? And that's really, significant, can be significant resources for you to work with in some cases. And if you own your home outright, well, then you certainly have a lot of resources to work with. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sell because you don't have a mortgage. But in some cases, for some people, just the upkeep of their property and the taxes and the insurance can also be daunting. Even if they own their home outright, sometimes it makes sense for them to sell. And not only working with us, also a financial planner comes into that scenario a lot of times too. Like, what's the best situation for this individual or this family? So, not just us that would help you determine that decision, but we would also call in other resources that you might already be working with, and not just thinking like, oh yeah, that my financial planner can help me make that decision. But we would employ all of the options out there to find the best situations for the individuals or for their families, so that it has the least amount of negative impact over time.